Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. Hey, it's Littlefinger, and today I am stepping back a tier doing a review on the AMX 40, which you can see here in the garage. This is a French tier 4 medium, using the word medium pretty lightly in this case. This tank plays like a heavy. Not a lot of positive things to say about it other than looking at the armor here. You can see how rounded it all is. It is pretty troll. You're going to get a lot of bounces in this tank, but penetration numbers on this gun are horrible. The aim time on the gun is horrible. It is extremely slow. You've got about 25 degrees of traverse speed. Compare that to, say, the DW at 45 or the A20 at 54. You know, you're just getting outmaneuvered by every single tank that you come across, and it makes it difficult to compete in this tank, especially as bottom tier. As top tier, it can be pretty fun, except, you know, if your team just leaves you in the dust and finish everyone off before you can even get there because you're so slow. So anyway, let's take a look real quick at the tech tree. You can see here we are down at the bottom, R35, AMX 38, and then they've thrown in the AMX 40, calling it a medium. Like I said, it just does not play like a medium. It has no maneuverability. And then after that, you move up to the AMX ELC, the 12T, 1375, 1390, and then obviously the Bat Chat, 25T. And I mean, it's just kind of amazing that there's this tank, which is so slow. It's the dog of this line, in my opinion, without a doubt. If this is not the worst tier 4 tank, it's pretty darn close. But then you get into all of these smaller, lighter, maneuverable tanks with actually pretty good guns, and certainly very good spotting capabilities. You know, I just feel like this one kind of got thrown in there randomly, just to fill out the line. So let's just take a quick look at some of the characteristics here. You see 30% on protection, 20% on maneuverability. It comes with the SA-34 47mm gun, which only has 26 mils of penetration. Keep in mind you're going up against KVs at tier 5 with 100 millimeters of armor. So you'll want to quickly move up. SA-35 goes to 65, and then the SA-32 is not much better at 78. Another downside to this tank, in my opinion, is that your Pramo rounds are going to be heat. I just don't like the way heat works in this game anymore. I would much rather see that to be APCR. You are going to do about 160 damage, which is nice when a shot does penetrate. Turret armor there at 80 millimeters, but 60 on the side. So this tank does have some weak spots, and because it's so slow, it's really hard to protect yourself at all times. And I'll have several examples. There we see the turret traverse is also pretty slow at 28 degrees. And as I said before, the whole tank traverse speed is 25 degrees. Taking a look at the consumables is pretty standard for me. Repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Running all three of the available provision, standard fuel, canned pate, and protective kit. And ammunition, running 37 rounds of AP. You probably wouldn't need 21 rounds of heat. That's a little bit excessive, but that's just the way I filled this out, and 12 of HE. Equipment, I am running the calibrated shells just to get that penetration number up to 78. Normally it would be 74, and the heat would be 100. So I think this is kind of a must for this tank. The gun rammer would get our rate of fire up to 6, but obviously leave our penetration numbers even lower. Vitality improved modules. I'm not too worried about ramming in this tank, so you know, we're going to go with the defense system. And then, since we're not a TD, improved optics gets our view range up to 56. And again, being the dog of Tier 4, do not spend any spare parts. I'm not even going to waste time talking about them for this tank. If you put them on here, you are pretty crazy. So here's the AMX 40 pulled up using the app Armor Inspector. You can see I've got the shooter pulled up as a PZ4 with the top gun, which has a penetration number of about 103. Keep in mind our turret and hull armor are 70 and 80 millimeters. But you can see because of all of the curved angles, it's pretty much a lot of it is red. So what you really need to focus on is keeping a nice angle in the neighborhood of 15 to maybe 25 degrees, and trying to keep that front plate hidden. And obviously that ginormous commander's hatch is a weak spot, so keep that in mind, especially when you're turning your turret. It does become weak on the cheeks, on the sides, and then obviously the more perpendicular the shooter gets to this tank, the easier it is to do penetration. Now, I say this all with the caveat that 25 degrees of traverse speed, it's really difficult on some of these light tanks to do that. So that's why I feel like this tank really needs some improvements in game. But you can just see here that this could be super fun at, say, Tier 3. This is what a PZ4A is going to see. So, and let's see if we even switch it over. Well, he's got heat. Very little chance of doing any damage, even with Pramo and a Tier 3 tank. So that's why this tank can be a little bit fun when you're top tier. You can bully. But then again, at bottom tier, it's just horrible. All right, so here is the tank compare section of blitzstars.com. Got the AMX pulled up on the left, PZ3, PZ4D, T28, M3 Elite, and Cheeky. And you can see here, damage per minute, 868. This whole section here shows you just how bad this gun and its weapon handling really is, and at what disadvantage you're at in this tank. And we've proven here that damage per minute isn't the end-all be-all for having a tank that can do a lot of damage. But typically for those tanks, they will have a very high penetration number, so your likelihood of landing shots is going to be higher. But in this tank, you'll see here our penetration number is between 30 and 50% lower than some of these other tanks. And also our damage per minute is 30. You look at the M3 Lee, 68% higher. This gun is just outmatched at its own tier. And our rate of fire is super slow. Our shell velocity is only 600 compared to some of these other ones sitting in there at 810, 990. And then we move down to the weapon handling. And look at this, aim time of 2.18. It's the worst in class. I mean, you think they could, Wargaming could at least put something good about this gun and the gun handling, but there's nothing good here. Our dispersion is the worst as well. So that's what makes this tank really, really difficult already. Throw in the fact that your top speed is 35 kilometers per hour. And you look at some of these others, they're mostly in the 40s, with the PZ3 having that top speed of 64. Obviously we have a very low horsepower engine, and on top of that, they've given it the worst terrain resistance, giving us only a horsepower to ton effective horsepower per ton ratio of 7.6. So this tank is just difficult to play. You look here at some of the other characteristics. Credit coefficient isn't even the best. View range is right in line with everything else. So is the hit points. The hull armor, you can see a lot of red there, meaning that our tank is one of the better at that setup here. So hull armor and turret armor, and I showed just a second ago in the armor inspector how that even goes up to, in the hundreds with the effectiveness of the curved tank. And then across the board, it does play rather average to all of these other tanks, in my opinion. So just use some of these numbers as a guide when you're out there playing this tank. Alright, so here's the first game I'm going to show. AMX 40, bottom tier, Desert Sands, team calls right. So yeah, now I'm the slowest tank out here in the desert, so I've got to try to catch up to the team. I'm not left with too many options, so this is going to be Exhibit A as to why I feel that this is the worst tank in the game. If not the worst tank in the game, it is definitely the worst tank in the tier. So not even going to sugarcoat this by speeding it up. This is real life speed. 18 kilometers per hour, 19, we made 20. Yeah, so you can see how fast the team is leaving me behind here. So I'm not left with too much of a choice here. I've got to take a little bit of a shortcut and cut through the buildings. And so obviously they all went desert at this point in time. Our guys have pushed past the midpoint, and you can see just how far behind I am. So at this point, they start to spot up on the other side of the rail line. And so I'm going to make the decision to just turn around and see if we can't hold them here while the team comes back. So I am now spotted. Just trying to use these buildings for cover. Here comes the T1. There's an AMX biscuit there. Nothing's really presenting itself as a shot. There's an Anko. We get a shot into it, but get shot from the side there. And here's Exhibit A right here. T1, nothing I can do. Got to load heat. Even aimed at the plate there. Still doesn't go in. He rams me. He shoots me. I'm dead. There's nothing I could do to compete against a T1 in that scenario. And, that's just really not fair in my opinion. So, Exhibit A right there. So, here is Exhibit B, bottom tier again on Canal. We've got a lot of mediums and lights in this game. So, I'm thinking that everyone's going to go left. So, that's what I'm going to do here. And what we'll find as we're approaching the hills is that a lot of them have gone into the city here. And so there we've got our first target, and you can see our dispersion makes us miss the first shot. He's going to drop off, and now we've got two tier 5s in front of us. And we do get some penetration there, even though it was primarily showing mostly red. I'm going to try to back up and just get around the hill. I'm waiting for the Type T-34 to turn sideways to get before I shoot. And then we pull back behind the hill. Just trying to be careful. Again, I'm not even going to shoot on the front. I see that he's about to drop off, so go ahead and get a shot in there. The AMX has gone around here, and I've got a shot in on him. We get some damage there. Long reload. Take a shot. We don't do any damage. Again, wait for the long reload, and he moves out of the way. We do get that shot in there, and M4 comes around. Going to stay angled at 15 degrees, and both of those shots bounce. So you can see this guy is doing a good job angling here. That shot misses and hits the dead tank. Which really is a shame, because I could have used some of these shots to land on that M4. I was aiming much lower than that, and that hits the turret. So again, no damage on another shot. Wait for a long reload. And meanwhile, there's a couple one-shots on the red team down there. So I was thinking about pushing down, but kind of concerned about this M4 coming around the hill. So our guys are going down there. We are up 3 tanks to 2 at this point in time. M4 does a good job of not pulling out far enough to give me a shot. I am trying to get in here to help my partner. M4 stops right when I think he's going to keep driving, so I missed that shot. Now it's 2 on 2, and here comes M4 at me. We can get the lower plate there. He bounces. I've dropped adrenaline, trying to get a little bit faster shots in here, but he is going to climb the hill here and take care of that idiot VK. And so now it's 1-on-1, and he's in an American tank with some really good gun depression, and I really don't want any part of that, but I'm just concerned that he would come down and start circling me. So you can see here he's got aimed at me in good gun depression. I was hoping that being on the move, he might not be able to accurately hit me. You can see that's too steep right there for me to climb. So just like that one bounced. I'm just going to come down here and let him come to me, but obviously with him being a tier higher, me not having any mobility, my chances are pretty slim. That shot bounces, and at this point it's all over. I can't reload. Even if I land 2 shots, he's going to finish me off faster than that. So we get 1 shot into it, and luckily it tracks him. We're going to get in front of him just to keep him from getting around us, but obviously he's got a faster reload, and there's nothing we can do. And again, you know, it's just frustrating being in a tank and not having the ability to pull out a win in a situation like that, 1-on-1. Alright, so here's another example of being bottom tier, and this one, I guess, comes out a little bit better at the end. I don't know. So our team is going to head right to the windmill. And this is sped up here just to save you the pain of watching this slow tank drive. So we get up to the windmill, and obviously they are not here. Not sure why our Matilda has gone the other way, and we've got a guy still sitting in spawn. Looks like, oh nope, he's moving now, so he wasn't AFK. But looks like the M5 Stuart here has climbed up the ridge. He's the only one spotted for the team here, so we're just being patient. I've got the KV. He's taking some damage already. They must be over there at the Castilla sniping in. That's a pretty amazing long shot there at 400 meters for this gun. But sometimes, you know, it's worthwhile just throwing in see if you can't get a lucky shot. But you can see I'm turned forward to the Castilla. I don't want to be showing my sides, because that's obviously my weak spot, and then getting shot from over there. So I get spotted, and I'm just going to come in here and hide behind this KV. So now I know that they can't shoot me from the hill, the Castilla over there. So and I tell you what, that long reload is awfully painful. So now we're not spotted anymore. We should be able to move forward. And I don't know if it's just me, but I really find that playing these slow tanks is extremely difficult. You don't have the maneuverability to get around and help your teammates. So you can see here, I'm using the side of the hill there to help with some gun depression. I'm going to call from help because I know I've got someone right behind me as well. And this tier 5 VK 3001H is just doing a number on me. And I'm just trying to stay moving and keep him from, aiming at the weak spots, trying to stay angled to him there, and get another shot into him. And luckily he pulls forward enough to get shot. We've got the T-28. I'm just waiting for a reload, and we'll get that shot in there for our first kill of the game. We are up 1 tank at this point in time, but I am down to 144 hit points after being one-on-one with that VK. So I'm assuming that the other guys are over at the Castilla there. So I'm going to push into Cap and see if we can't get them to come to us. And you see there I did get spotted, so obviously someone's up there on that hill. I'm just going to tuck myself in behind the building, angled slightly so if they come across the bridge they don't have a shot perpendicular on me. And he comes up the side. Make a mistake here of pushing. He bounced that first shot, and I'm just trying to stay angled, and I take 9 hit points from the right to reset the cap, which was the frustrating part there. You can see here I'm just trying to stay angled, and obviously there's a tank behind me that has shot probably 2 rounds of HE into me, doing 70 damage on that last shot and 9 to reset the cap. And you can see there with the front of that Hetzer, I can't shoot the lower plate there. So there's no point me pulling out in front of him. Need some help from teammates to pull this game off. There's not enough time to cap, but not a lot I can do. I think maybe if this Leo had just stayed here and not try to be heroic. You see, we got the cap up to 63. That Hetzer turned sideways, so I was able to pull back and get a shot into him. But there's only 4 seconds left now. And so another game ends as bottom tier with essentially a loss. It was a draw. But we did do 1695 in damage. So I think this is showing you a trend that this tank at the bottom tier is extremely team dependent. Alright, so finally here's a game as top tier on Winter Malinovka. We're going to push to the left here. And one of the things you can do, obviously, with this tank, without too much downside, is you can be a little bit more aggressive when you're top tier. So you can see here, I've pushed more into the middle than going all the way around on the outside. A32 spotted there. There's an AMX. This is a good to show you what this AMX looks like from the side. There's heat bouncing as it usually does. Again, not a fan of heat as your premium ammunition. But we've got the A32 backing up into us, which is awfully nice. So we get a shot in there. Looking around, seeing where the rest of their team is. This AMX is pushing hard. He is being aggressive for sure. Don't want to pull out too far because I've got these tanks to my right. So there is that lower plate that is certainly penetrable. We did use heat there. But you can see I am trying to angle my best. That shot just plain out missed. And I don't know if that AMX, he doesn't have the top turret or gun. So I don't know if he would be able to penetrate me at all. Anyway. See, I'm getting shot from behind there, but I'm not too worried about it. There's another heat round bouncing. You can see that the cheeks are certainly weaker. Obviously, that's not the top turret, but if he wants to give me the opportunity to come in behind him, I'll gladly take that. He's going to get finished off, and this battle is even 4-on-4. We lose our T-82 there by the Matilda. There's an M2 medium up towards the cap circle. Having to use heat again on the Matilda. Team takes him out. We're back to even 3-on-3. I'm not sure what happened there. That shot just completely missed or what. But anyway, now we are down 3-on-2. T-46 in front of me. There's a Stewart there. See, we have a little bit of issue with gun depression and get a track shot with no damage. That T-46 is trying to make a run for it. I think I get a shot into him, and I can see that there's a tank coming behind me. I'm just trying to stay alive here and not get surrounded. This reload is painful. Aim time is painful. You can see, you know, if you don't aim, you have very little chance. Teammates getting surrounded, and the Covenanter is taken out. Another track shot that does no damage. This gun is just horrible, really. That was a low percentage shot on my part. And now that M2 medium has come across the side there. Finally get a shot to do some damage. He is shooting HE at me, so he's only going to be doing about 40-50 a shot. Trying to push on him to keep that, I think it's a T-26, away for now. Do get the AMX, but if you notice, the other guy's gone to cap, and it's now at 30, and I am a long way from there. So luckily that shot goes in without really even aiming. But that cap is like miles away for this AMX. And they're at 50 right now. So we've got 2 kills, 40 seconds to get to cap. And I know the suspense is just killing you guys. I think I've shown you nothing but losses so far. Yeah, pedal faster indeed. Someone get out and push this thing, because it is painful. 87, 88. And there he is. And we take our shot and we miss. How about that? But can we get into the cap circle? It says they've captured the base. I'm still reloading. I shoot him, ram him for good measure, and I'm thinking, oh great, we've lost this game. But I am awarded a victory. 1644 damage, level 1 mastery, steel wall, Klobanov. But just painful. This tank, in my opinion, is painful. My recommendation would be to skip it, use free XP, do whatever you can not to play this tank. I'm holding on to it in my garage just because it's one of the few tanks, or I'm about a little bit more than 60% with mastery badges, but it's one of the tanks I haven't been able to get a mastery badge in, which I find difficult in tanks like that. So I'm going to keep working on it from time to time, but certainly do recommend moving up that French line. It is a lot of fun to play once you get past this tank. So hopefully showed you 1 or 2 tips to make you a little bit better in the tank. And as always, guys, stay safe out there. Have fun. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.